There is a strange moment that almost everyone on the twin flame journey experiences. A moment that feels confusing, unfair, and sometimes even cruel. It's the moment when you finally stop trying. And that's when everything begins to shift. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop asking the universe for signs, answers, reassurance. And suddenly, without warning, the energy changes. The silence no longer feels empty. The ache loosens its grip. Your chest feels lighter. And sometimes, almost mysteriously, they feel it too. This is the paradox that no one tells you about at the beginning of the twin flame journey. The moment you stop chasing is often the moment the connection starts moving again. But why? Why does loving harder seem to push them away? Why does effort create distance instead of closeness? Why does surrender feel more powerful than pursuit? To understand this, we have to look beyond romance, beyond attachment, and even beyond emotion, and into the law of energy that governs twin flame connections. The illusion of control. When you first recognize your twin flame, everything feels urgent. The connection is intense. The recognition is immediate. The emotions are overwhelming. Your mind reacts the only way it knows how, by trying to hold on. You try to define the relationship. You try to understand where it's going. You try to keep the connection alive through messages, explanations, emotional openness, effort. This feels like love. But energetically, something very different is happening. Chasing is not driven by love. It is driven by fear of loss. Fear that if you don't act, the connection will disappear. Fear that if you don't try hard enough, they will forget you. Fear that if you let go, everything will fall apart. And fear, no matter how beautifully disguised, always carries the same frequency. Resistance. Why chasing creates resistance? Energy responds to pressure the same way the human nervous system does. When something is pushed too hard, it pushes back. When something is chased, it runs. When something is forced, it resists. This isn't a flaw in the twin flame dynamic. It's a universal energetic law. Imagine holding sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. The moment you relax your grip, the sand settles naturally in your palm. Twin flame energy works the same way. When you chase, you unconsciously communicate one message. I am incomplete without you. That message doesn't just reach the other person. It echoes through the entire energetic field of the connection. And the field responds by restoring balance. Not by rewarding the chase, but by creating distance. Resistance is not rejection. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of twin flame separation. When your twin flame pulls away, avoids, goes silent, or becomes emotionally unavailable, it feels like rejection. But energetically, it is not rejection. It is self-preservation. Your twin flame is not running from you as a person. They are reacting to the pressure of expectation. Expectation to respond. Expectation to reciprocate. Expectation to meet you where you are, even when they are not ready. And because twin flames mirror each other, this resistance exists on both sides. Even if you are the one chasing, part of your own soul is resisting being pulled into union before the inner work is complete. That's why chasing feels exhausting. That's why it feels painful. That's why it never brings peace. Even when you temporarily get a response. The moment you stop, then something happens. Not all at once. Not dramatically. You get tired. Tired of analyzing. Tired of hoping. Tired of waiting. And in that exhaustion, something sacred emerges. Surrender. Not the kind that says, I give up because I failed. But the kind that whispers, I release what I cannot control. You stop chasing answers. You stop chasing validation. You stop chasing the future. And for the first time, you come back to the present. To your breath. To your body. To yourself. This is the moment the energy begins to turn. Why letting go feels like power, not loss. Letting go does not mean you stop loving. It means you stop needing love to survive. It means your sense of worth no longer depends on another person's response. And energetically, this is everything. Because the moment you stop chasing, your frequency shifts. From lack to wholeness. From fear to trust. From attachment to presence. You stop emitting pressure. And where pressure disappears, space appears. Space for breathing. Space for longing. Space for magnetism. This is why letting go creates attraction. Not because it's a tactic, not because it's a trick, but because energy naturally flows toward balance. The twin flame mirror awakens. When you stop chasing, something subtle but powerful happens in the connection. Your twin flame begins to feel what you no longer project. No urgency, no demand, no emotional pull, just silence. And silence is uncomfortable for a connection that was built on intensity. Without your energy feeding the dynamic, unresolved emotions begin to surface, especially for the one who was running. Memories arise. Dreams intensify. Thoughts return uninvited, not because you did something, but because you stopped doing something. You stopped interfering with the natural intelligence of the bond. A question worth sitting with. Ask yourself this honestly, not to judge but to observe. If you suddenly felt completely whole, if you no longer needed your twin flame to choose you, if you were at peace whether they returned or not, what would actually change inside you? And if that version of you exists, what kind of energy would it emit? That is the version your twin flame responds to, not the one who reaches, but the one who rests. The invitation of this chapter. This chapter is not asking you to stop loving. It is inviting you to stop abandoning yourself. Because twin flame union does not begin with reunion. It begins with inner alignment. And alignment does not come from chasing what is outside of you. It comes from returning to what has always been within. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into what chasing really looks like beneath the surface, and why so many people confuse emotional attachment with spiritual love. But for now, let this truth land softly. When you stop chasing the twin flame, the energy doesn't disappear. It finally has space to return. Chasing rarely looks like desperation at first. In fact, most people would never call it chasing at all. They call it caring. They call it commitment. They call it fighting for the connection. And on the surface, it sounds noble. You're the one who reaches out. You're the one who tries to communicate. You're the one who wants to fix things, clarify misunderstandings, keep the bond alive. Feels like love. But beneath the words, beneath the actions, beneath the emotional intensity, chasing carries a very specific energetic signature. And until you recognize it, the twin flame journey will keep looping you back into the same pain. Again and again. Chasing is not an action, it is a state of being. This is where most people get confused. They think chasing is about behavior. Asterisk texting too much. Asterisk asking too many questions. Asterisk wanting reassurance. Asterisk initiating contact. But chasing has very little to do with what you do. Chasing is about where you are coming from when you do it. Two people can send the same message. One is grounded. The other is chasing. The difference is not the message. It is the need behind it. Chasing is the moment your nervous system believes, I am not okay unless this connection moves. And once that belief is activated, everything becomes loaded with meaning. Silence feels threatening. Distance feels personal. Uncertainty feels unbearable. You are no longer relating. You are reacting. The subtle hunger beneath chasing. Chasing often hides behind spiritual language. I just want clarity. I just want honesty. I just want to understand what this connection means. But if you look closely, you'll notice something underneath. A hunger. Not for truth, but for relief. Relief from anxiety. Relief from not knowing. Relief from the fear that you might be abandoned, forgotten, replaced. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Chasing is not about the twin flame. It is about regulating your own inner discomfort through another person. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But it does change the energy of the connection. Why chasing never brings peace. Have you ever noticed this? You finally get a response. They reply. They show interest. They come closer. And for a moment everything feels calm. Your chest relaxes. Your thoughts slow down. Your hope returns. But the calm doesn't last. Soon the questions return. The fear returns. The need returns. Why? Because chasing does not resolve insecurity. It temporarily numbs it. And the twin flame connection, by its very nature, refuses to numb anything. It is designed to activate, not soothe. Which is why chasing feels exhausting. You are trying to find rest in a place that exists to wake you up. The energetic message of chasing. Whether you say it or not, chasing communicates one core message into the energetic field. I need you to be a certain way so I can feel okay. And energy always responds to truth, not intention. You may intend love. You may intend openness. You may intend connection. But the field receives dependency, and dependency triggers imbalance. In twin flame dynamics, imbalance does not lead to union. It leads to separation, not as punishment, but as correction. Why the other twin pulls away. From the outside, the runner appears cold, distant, avoidant, or emotionally unavailable. But energetically, something very specific is happening. They feel pressure, not necessarily from your words, but from the expectation encoded in your energy. Expectation to respond, expectation to engage, expectation to move forward emotionally. And even if they care deeply, their system reacts instinctively. They withdraw, not because they don't feel the connection, but because they feel it too strongly. Chasing amplifies intensity, and intensity without grounding feels unsafe. The mirror you don't want to see. This is the part most people resist. The runner is not just avoiding intimacy with you. They are avoiding intimacy with themselves. And when you chase, you unknowingly support that avoidance. Because as long as you are reaching, questioning, explaining, holding the emotional weight, they don't have to face their inner work. Chasing delays growth on both sides. It keeps one person over-functioning, and the other under-functioning. And the universe will not allow that imbalance to become permanent. The cost of chasing yourself away. Here is the deepest consequence of chasing, one that rarely gets talked about. When you chase the twin flame, you slowly abandon yourself. You begin to prioritize their emotions over yours. Wait for their signals before trusting your own truth. Shape your worth around their availability. And the more you do this, the more disconnected you feel. Not from them, but from you. That inner disconnection is what hurts the most. Because on a soul level, the twin flame journey is not about reunion. It is about remembering who you are without needing to be chosen. The moment awareness changes everything. Chasing does not end because you force yourself to stop. It ends the moment you see it clearly. The moment you realize, I am not reaching because I love. I am reaching because I am afraid. And in that honesty, something softens. You stop judging yourself. You stop trying to control the process. You stop fighting the silence. You begin to listen instead. To your body. To your exhaustion. To the part of you that just wants peace. That is the doorway to letting go. Question to sit with. Ask yourself gently without self-blame. If this connection disappeared tomorrow, who would I still be? Would I still trust myself? Would I still feel worthy? Would I still feel whole? Whatever arises in response is not a failure. It is information. And information is power. The bridge to the next chapter. Chasing is not wrong. It is a stage. A necessary one. It shows you exactly where you have been outsourcing your sense of safety, love, and identity. And once you see that clearly, the journey changes. In the next chapter, we will explore letting go, not as an act of loss, but as the most radical form of self-return. Because when you stop chasing the twin flame, you don't lose the connection. You finally stop losing yourself. For many people on the twin flame journey, the words letting go feel terrifying. They sound like surrendering love. They sound like accepting loss. They sound like admitting defeat. And so the mind resists. If I let go, won't I lose them forever? If I stop caring, won't the connection die? If I detach, doesn't that mean it wasn't real? These fears are understandable. But they are built on a misunderstanding of what letting go truly is. Because letting go, in the twin flame journey, has nothing to do with giving up on love. It has everything to do with ending the inner war. The biggest lie about letting go. Most people think letting go means you stop feeling, that you stop loving, that you stop caring, that you shut your heart down. But that is emotional suppression, not letting go. True letting go does not close the heart. It removes the grip. It is the difference between holding something gently in your hands and clutching it with white-knuckled fear. Love does not disappear when the grip loosens. Fear does. Why letting go feels so unnatural at first? Letting go feels wrong because it goes against how the ego has learned to survive. The ego believes, Asterisk effort creates results. Asterisk control creates safety. Asterisk attachment creates security. So when you stop trying, the ego panics, tells you, you're being passive. You're missing your chance. You're letting the love of your life slip away. But the twin flame journey does not follow ego rules. It follows energetic truth. And energetic truth says this: what is real does not need to be forced. What is aligned does not need to be chased. What is meant to return will do so when resistance dissolves. What letting go actually looks like. Letting go is subtle. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not happen all at once. It shows up quietly, in small internal shifts. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head. You stop scanning your phone for meaning. You stop interpreting silence as rejection. You still think of them, but the thoughts no longer hijack your nervous system. You still feel love, but it no longer demands a response. This is not indifference. This is emotional sovereignty. The moment you take your energy back. Here is the turning point most people don't recognize when it happens. When you stop chasing the twin flame, your energy does not disappear. It returns to you. All the attention you were sending outward, all the emotional labor you were investing, all the mental loops you were stuck in, they collapse inward. And suddenly you feel yourself again. Your body relaxes. Your intuition gets louder. Your sense of self becomes clearer. This is why letting go feels peaceful and unsettling at the same time. Peace because you are no longer fragmented. Unsettling because you are no longer distracted. You are face to face with yourself. Why letting go creates attraction without trying. This is where the paradox becomes visible. When you stop chasing, you are no longer pulling energy toward you. You are stabilizing it. And stable energy is magnetic. Think of a calm lake. It does not chase reflections. It does not ripple unnecessarily. Simply is. And because it is still, everything becomes visible within it. Your twin flame feels this shift. Not logically. Not consciously. Energetically. The absence of pressure creates space. The absence of demand creates curiosity. The absence of need creates longing. Not because you engineered it, but because you stopped interfering. Letting go forces the mirror to activate. Twin flames mirror each other relentlessly. As long as you were chasing, asterisk you carried the emotional weight. Asterisk you held the longing. Asterisk you processed the pain. When you let go, that energy has nowhere to go but back into the field. And the field redistributes it. Suddenly, the one who was running begins to feel what they avoided. Memories surface. Dreams intensify. Emotions rise without explanation. Not because you pulled them back, but because you stopped holding the imbalance for both of you. The difference between letting go and waiting. This is critical. Letting go is not waiting in disguise. Waiting still contains expectation. Waiting still asks, when will this change? When will they come back? When will I get clarity? Letting go releases the timeline. It says, whatever happens, I will be okay. Whatever unfolds, I trust myself. Whatever comes, I am grounded. This is why letting go is powerful. It removes urgency. And urgency is the loudest form of resistance. Why letting go feels like losing control. Letting go strips the ego of its favorite illusion, control. You no longer manage the connection. You no longer predict outcomes. You no longer negotiate with the universe. And in that surrender, something deeper takes over. Intuition replaces strategy. Presence replaces anxiety. Trust replaces fear. This is not weakness. This is alignment. A subtle but profound identity shift. At some point, you realize something quietly revolutionary. I don't need this connection to validate my existence. That realization does not kill love. Purifies it. Love becomes spacious. Love becomes calm. Love becomes unconditional, including toward yourself. This is the version of you that the twin flame journey was always leading toward. Not someone who is chosen, but someone who chooses themselves. A question that changes the journey. Sit with this, not to answer quickly, but to feel honestly. If this connection never turned into what I imagined, could I still live a full, meaningful, joyful life? If the answer scares you, that's okay. Fear shows you where attachment still lives. And attachment is not an enemy. It is simply an invitation to return home. the threshold before everything changes. Letting go is not the end of the twin flame journey. It is the threshold. The moment you step out of chasing, out of proving, out of waiting, you step into alignment, and alignment always precedes transformation. In the next chapter, we will explore how energy begins to return once you truly let go, the signs, the shifts, and the subtle ways the connection starts moving again without effort. But for now, let this truth settle gently. You do not lose your twin flame by letting go. You lose the illusion that you were ever meant to hold them instead of yourself. There is a quiet phase in the twin flame journey that almost no one prepares you for. It comes after the tears, after the exhaustion, after the moment you finally stop trying to hold the connection together. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. And it does not announce itself as progress. In fact, many people mistake this phase for nothing happening at all. But energetically, everything is happening. This is the phase where the energy, once scattered, pushed, and overextended, begins to return to its source, to you. The first sign. The noise inside you goes silent. One of the earliest shifts after true letting go is internal silence. Not emptiness, not numbness, but the absence of constant mental activity. The obsessive thinking fades. The urge to check disappears. The emotional spikes smooth out. You still remember them. You still feel the connection, but it no longer controls you. This silence is not indifference. It is integration. Your nervous system has finally stopped bracing for impact. And when the nervous system relaxes, energy reorganizes itself naturally. Why nothing seems to happen at first? This phase is deceptive. Externally, your twin flame may still be distant. There may be no messages, no movement, no confirmation, and the ego panics. Did I let go too much? Did I miss my chance? Did I shut the door completely? But energetically, this pause is necessary. Energy does not snap back instantly. It recalibrates. Like a pendulum that has been pushed too far in one direction, it must pass through stillness before swinging back. That stillness is not absence. It is reset, the return of your power. As your energy stops leaking outward, something remarkable happens. Your life begins to fill again. You laugh more easily. You feel present in conversations. You sleep more deeply. Creativity returns. Motivation resurfaces. Desires unrelated to the twin flame reappear. This is not coincidence. When your energy returns, it nourishes everything. And this is often when people say, I don't know what changed, but I feel like myself again. That is the moment your power comes back online. Why your twin flame feels the shift before you see results. Here is something that often surprises people. Your twin flame usually feels the energetic shift before any physical change occurs. They may not consciously connect it to you, but something stirs. They think of you unexpectedly. They feel emotional waves without context. They dream intensely. The connection becomes active again internally, before it becomes visible externally. Why? Because twin flame bonds operate through energetic resonance, not proximity. When your frequency stabilizes, the shared field responds. The absence of pressure changes everything. While you were chasing, the connection was loaded. Every interaction carried expectation. Every silence carried meaning. Every emotion carried weight. When you let go, the weight disappears. And weightless energy moves differently. It invites instead of demands. It attracts instead of pulls. It resonates instead of reacts. This is why the dynamic shifts without effort. You are no longer asking the connection to give you something. You are simply allowing it to exist. Why the runner begins to feel restless. In many twin flame dynamics, one person unconsciously relied on the other to carry the emotional intensity. When you stop doing that, the balance changes. The runner no longer has an external outlet for avoidance. The unresolved emotions return to sender. This does not mean they suddenly become ready. It means they can no longer remain numb. And numbness was never healing. It was just delayed feeling. The strange timing of reconnection. Reconnection rarely happens when you are waiting for it. It happens when * you are busy living. * you are grounded in yourself. * you are no longer scanning for signs. A message arrives out of nowhere. A coincidence unfolds. A conversation reopens naturally. Not because you manifested it desperately, but because the field is no longer distorted by need. The difference between energy returning and reunion. This is important to understand. Energy returning does not guarantee reunion. It guarantees alignment. Sometimes alignment leads to reconnection. Sometimes it leads to closure. Sometimes it leads to a deeper inner union that no longer requires external form. The outcome is not the point. The restoration of balance is. And balance always serves your highest evolution. Why this phase tests trust more than chasing ever did. Chasing feels active. Letting go feels passive. And the ego hates passivity. In this phase, you are asked to trust without proof. To remain grounded without reassurance. To stay present without knowing what comes next. This is the true initiation of the twin flame path. Not emotional intensity, but emotional maturity. A question that reveals where you are. Ask yourself, if nothing changes externally for a while, can I still stay connected to myself? If the outcome remains unknown, can I still remain at peace? Your answers are not judgments. They are signposts. The deep truth of energy returning. When energy returns, it does not come back as longing. Comes back as presence, as self-respect, as emotional stability, as inner clarity. This is why the twin flame journey is often misunderstood. People think it is about getting someone back, but it is actually about getting yourself back. And from that place, everything unfolds differently. Standing at the edge of the next phase. Once energy returns, something subtle happens. You stop asking, when will they come back? And start asking, what kind of life do I want to live? That shift is everything, because it means the connection is no longer driving you. You are driving your life again. In the next chapter, we will explore the signs that show you have truly entered this phase. Not intellectually, but energetically. But for now, let this truth anchor inside you. The energy does not return because you let go of them. It returns because you finally stopped leaving yourself. There is a moment on the twin flame journey when something shifts so quietly that you almost miss it. Nothing dramatic happens. No message arrives. No apology is spoken. No reunion unfolds. Yet somehow you know that you are no longer where you used to be. Not because the situation changed, but because you did. This chapter is about recognizing that moment. Because many people believe they have let go, when in truth they are still holding on, just more quietly. True detachment leaves fingerprints. And once you learn to see them, you will never confuse peace with waiting again. Sign 1. You no longer feel the urge to monitor the connection. One of the clearest signs that chasing has ended is the disappearance of monitoring. You no longer check their social media for clues, reread old messages searching for meaning, track time in silence like a countdown. Not because you are forcing yourself not to, but because the impulse is gone. Your attention has returned to you, and attention is energy. Where your attention rests, your power flows. This is the first reclaiming. Sign 2. Silence no longer feels like a threat. There was a time when silence felt unbearable. It triggered panic. It activated stories. It made your body tense. Now silence feels neutral. Not good. Not bad. Just quiet. This does not mean you stopped caring. It means your nervous system is no longer interpreting distance as danger. And this is profound. Because most chasing is not emotional. It is physiological. When the body relaxes, the chase dissolves. Sign 3. You stop needing certainty to feel okay. Earlier in the journey, uncertainty was torture. You needed answers, labels, timelines. Now uncertainty exists, but it does not consume you. You realize something important. Clarity does not come from knowing the future. It comes from trusting yourself in the present. You no longer ask, where is this going? You ask, how do I feel right now? And that shift anchors you. Sign 4. Your identity is no longer wrapped around the connection. At some point, the twin flame connection became a lens through which you saw everything. Your mood, your worth, your direction. When you stop chasing, that lens dissolves. You still recognize the connection, but it is no longer the center of your identity. You remember your interests, your desires, your values. You begin to imagine a future that is rich, with or without a specific outcome. This is not detachment from love. It is detachment from dependency. Sign 5. You feel compassion without urgency. This sign is subtle and powerful. You can think about your twin flame and feel compassion, without the urge to fix, rescue, or intervene. You understand their wounds without needing them to heal for you. You hold empathy without carrying responsibility. This is emotional maturity. It means you have stepped out of the savior role. And saviors always chase. Sign 6. Your body feels grounded again. Pay attention to your body. This is where the truth lives. When chasing ends, your breath deepens, your shoulders drop, your sleep improves. You are no longer braced. Your system is no longer waiting for something to happen. Grounded energy does not seek. It attracts. Sign 7. You stop imagining conversations that haven't happened. Earlier your mind was busy. You rehearsed explanations. You prepared responses. You imagined future conversations. Now your mind is quieter. Not because you disciplined it, but because it has nothing left to solve. You trust that if something needs to be said, it will be. And until then, you are present with what is. This is freedom. Sign 8. You no longer feel the need to prove the connection is real. At one point, you may have needed validation. From friends, from signs, from spiritual explanations. You needed reassurance that you weren't imagining things. Now, you don't explain the connection even to yourself. You don't need to. What is real does not require defense. And what no longer defines you does not require explanation. Sign 9. You are open to life beyond a single outcome. This is one of the most misunderstood signs. When you truly stop chasing, you become open. Not closed. You are open to new experiences, new connections, new versions of yourself. This does not betray the twin flame bond. It honors your life. Because the twin flame journey was never meant to replace your world. It was meant to return you to it. Sign 10. You feel whole, even in the unknown. This is the deepest sign of all. You feel okay. Not euphoric. Not numb. Just okay. Whole. You realize that whether the twin flame returns, stays distant, or transforms entirely, you are still here. Breathing. Living. Growing. This is inner union. And inner union is the foundation of all outer harmony. A moment of radical honesty. Ask yourself quietly without performing strength. If nothing changed externally from this point forward, would I still choose myself? If the connection remained unresolved, would I still feel worthy? If the story ended differently than I imagined, could I still live fully? Your answers are not tests. They are mirrors. Why these signs matter? These signs do not mean the journey is over. They mean the struggle is. They mean you are no longer fighting reality. They mean you are aligned with yourself. And alignment is the most magnetic state there is. Standing on the edge of transformation. When chasing ends, something extraordinary becomes possible. Not because the twin flame suddenly changes, but because you have. From this place, reconnection, if it happens, happens differently. And if it doesn't, life still expands. In the next chapter, we will explore what happens when both twins begin to meet each other from this place of wholeness, and why union in any form can only occur here. For now, let this truth settle gently inside you. You will know you have stopped chasing. When peace no longer feels like waiting, but like coming home. There is a moment on the twin flame journey that is far quieter than people expect. It does not arrive with fireworks. It does not announce itself as union. It does not erase the past. Instead, it feels grounded. This is the moment when both twin flames, whether consciously or unconsciously, begin to meet each other from wholeness rather than need. And everything changes. Why union cannot happen before wholeness? Many people believe union happens when both people want each other, both people are ready, both people finally choose the connection. But those conditions alone are not enough. Union does not occur because two people desire each other. Union occurs because the energetic imbalance has dissolved. As long as one twin is chasing and the other is running, the field remains distorted. As long as one twin is overgiving and the other is withdrawing, the bond cannot stabilize. Wholeness is the correction. It is the moment when neither twin needs the other to complete their sense of self. And without that need, the dynamic can finally breathe. How the energy feels different at this stage. When both twins begin to meet from wholeness, the energy changes in ways that are subtle but unmistakable. There is less intensity and more depth, less obsession and more clarity, less urgency and more presence. The connection no longer hijacks your nervous system. You are not pulled toward each other by fear. You are drawn together by resonance. And resonance is calm. Communication without emotional charge. If communication resumes at this stage, it feels different. There is no interrogation, no hidden agenda, no need to extract reassurance. Words become simpler. Silences feel natural rather than threatening. You no longer ask, "Where is this going?" You simply meet the moment as it is. This is not because you stopped caring. It is because you stopped projecting the future onto the present. Why reunion often feels anticlimactic. This is one of the most surprising truths of the twin flame journey. When reunion happens from wholeness, it can feel ordinary, not boring but human. The dramatic tension that once defined the connection is gone. And many people misinterpret this as loss of magic. But what has actually disappeared is trauma bond intensity, not love. What remains is something far rarer. Stability. And stability allows love to last. The end of roles. No more chaser, no more runner. At this stage, the roles dissolve. There is no chaser to pursue, no runner to escape. Both people stand on equal ground, not because they negotiated it, but because they healed into it. Neither twin feels responsible for carrying the connection. Neither twin feels overwhelmed by it. The bond exists, but it does not dominate. This is energetic adulthood. Why not all wholeness leads to romantic union? This is where spiritual maturity is required. Wholeness does not guarantee a romantic outcome. Sometimes, when both twins reach wholeness, the soul recognizes, we were meant to awaken each other, not necessarily to build a life together. And this realization does not feel painful, feels honest, because by this stage, love is no longer conditional on form. It exists whether the relationship does or not. Union as a state, not an outcome. This is the core teaching many people miss. Union is not a destination. It is a state of being. It is the state where * you are aligned with yourself, * you are open to connection without attachment, * you are present without expectation. From this state, many forms of connection are possible. Romantic union, deep friendship, sacred closure, parallel paths that remain energetically connected. None of these are failures. They are expressions of truth. The mirror softens. Earlier in the journey, the twin flame mirror was brutal. It exposed wounds, triggered fear, amplified pain. At this stage, the mirror softens. Instead of reflecting trauma, it reflects growth. You see yourself in the other, not as a missing piece but as a familiar frequency. Recognition replaces longing. Respect replaces obsession. Why this stage feels less addictive? One of the quiet confirmations that you are meeting from wholeness is this. The connection is no longer addictive. You do not need constant contact. You do not feel destabilized by distance. You do not lose yourself in fantasy. This does not mean the bond weakened. It means it integrated. Addiction thrives on emptiness. Wholeness leaves no void to fill. The courage to let the connection be what it is. Meeting from wholeness requires courage. Because you are no longer forcing a story. You are allowing truth to unfold. And truth may look different than your original fantasy, but it feels clean, feels aligned, feels free. You trust that whatever form the connection takes, it is not a measure of your worth. A question that marks this stage. Ask yourself, not from fear but from clarity, if this connection never becomes more than it is right now, can I still honor it without shrinking myself? If the relationship evolves differently than I imagined, can I still remain open-hearted? If the journey ends externally, can I still carry the love without attachment? If the answer is yes, even softly, you are already here. What comes after wholeness? After wholeness, the journey simplifies. Life becomes the focus again. Purpose expands. Creativity flows. Relationships feel grounded. The twin flame connection becomes part of your life, not the center of it. And paradoxically, this is when harmony becomes possible. standing at the threshold of integration. This chapter marks a turning point. From here on, the journey is no longer about separation or reunion. It is about integration. How the love you awaken through this bond flows into your life, your choices, your relationships, your purpose. In the next chapter, we will explore how to live after the chase, how to integrate the twin flame awakening into a grounded, meaningful, embodied life. For now, let this truth settle gently inside you. True twin flame meeting does not feel like being completed. It feels like recognizing yourself and choosing to stand whole together or apart. There is a phase of the twin flame journey that receives far less attention than it deserves. Comes after the realizations, after the letting go, after the energetic shifts that once felt monumental. This phase is quiet. It does not revolve around signs, synchronicities, or emotional highs. It revolves around living. And for many people, this is the most disorienting stage of all. Why after the chase can feel empty at first. When the chase ends, the nervous system finally rests. But rest can feel unfamiliar. For a long time, intensity gave your day structure. Longing gave your thoughts direction. The connection gave your pain meaning. When that intensity dissolves, space appears. And the ego asks, what now? This is not emptiness. It is capacity. Space where your life can finally enter again. The common mistake: using spirituality to avoid life. Some people unconsciously replace chasing with something else. They stop chasing the twin flame, but start chasing awakening. They consume endless spiritual content. They analyze energy constantly. They stay in the abstract. This feels safer than embodiment, because embodiment asks you to participate, to feel joy without drama, to feel purpose without intensity, to feel love without obsession. Integration is not about escaping the human experience. It is about inhabiting it fully. What integration really means. Integration means the lessons of the twin flame journey stop being concepts and start becoming behaviors. You communicate honestly. You set boundaries naturally. You choose relationships that feel mutual. Not because you are trying to do it right, but because your nervous system no longer tolerates imbalance. You no longer override discomfort to preserve connection. You listen to your body, and this changes everything. How your relationship with desire evolves. Earlier in the journey, desire was intense and consuming. You wanted union. You wanted clarity. You wanted reassurance. After integration, desire softens. You still want connection, but you no longer need it to feel alive. Desire becomes directional instead of desperate. It guides you toward experiences that nourish you. And when desire no longer comes from lack, it becomes creative. Returning to the body. One of the most important aspects of integration is returning to the body. During the chase, much of your energy lived in your mind. Asterisk thinking, asterisk analyzing, asterisk anticipating. After the chase, healing happens somatically. You move differently. You breathe differently. You rest without guilt. Pleasure becomes simpler and deeper. A walk, a meal, a moment of stillness. These things ground the awakening into reality. Without grounding, insight evaporates. Relationships after the chase. Your relationships begin to change. Not dramatically, but unmistakably. You notice when someone is emotionally unavailable. You notice when effort is one-sided. You notice when connection feels forced. And instead of explaining, convincing, or enduring, you step back. Not in anger, in clarity. This is one of the quiet gifts of the twin flame journey. It recalibrates your standards without hardening your heart. What happens to the twin flame connection itself? The twin flame connection does not disappear after the chase, but it changes function. It is no longer a source of pain. It becomes a reference point, a reminder of what alignment feels like, a mirror of your growth, a chapter that shaped you. Sometimes the connection remains present. Sometimes it fades into the background. Sometimes it reappears in new form. But it no longer defines your direction. You do. Purpose emerges naturally. One of the most unexpected outcomes of integration is clarity of purpose. Not a grand mission, but a sense of direction. You feel drawn to create, to contribute, to express. Not to prove anything, but because energy is flowing again. Purpose does not come from searching. comes from availability. When your energy is no longer tied up in longing, it moves outward naturally, living without needing a story. Earlier, the journey needed explanation. You needed to understand what was happening. You needed the story to make sense. After integration, the story loosens. You stop narrating your life constantly. You live it. This is maturity. It means you trust experience more than interpretation. The subtle grief of letting the drama go. There is often a quiet grief in this phase. Not for the person, but for the intensity. Intensity can feel meaningful. Calm can feel ordinary. But ordinary is where life actually happens. This grief is not regression. It is adjustment. You are learning how to live without adrenaline, without emotional spikes, without constant activation. And that takes time. A question that grounds integration. Ask yourself gently, what does my life want now? Not spiritually but practically. What rhythms support me? What connections nourish me? What choices feel aligned with my body? Integration lives in these questions, not in theories. Why integration is the true completion. Many people believe the twin flame journey completes with reunion. But completion happens when the journey no longer controls you. When love does not require suffering. When depth does not require drama. When connection does not require self-abandonment. That is integration. And integration is freedom. Standing fully in your life. This stage you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin asking, how will I live because of it? The twin flame journey did not come to give you a person. Came to give you yourself. Your sensitivity. Your capacity for love. Your emotional intelligence. And now those qualities belong to your life, not a story. Looking toward the final chapter. In the final chapter, we will explore the deepest truth beneath the twin flame journey, what it was truly initiating you into beyond relationships, beyond separation, beyond reunion. But for now, let this truth anchor gently inside you. Life after the chase is not empty. It is spacious. And in that space, you finally have room to live. At some point on this journey, a quiet realization begins to form. Not all at once. Not as a revelation that strikes like lightning, but as a slow, undeniable knowing. This was never just about another person. It was never just about separation or reunion. It was never just about romance, destiny, or even love. The twin flame journey was an initiation. And like all true initiations, it did not ask for your belief. It demanded your transformation. Why the relationship narrative was only the surface. In the beginning, everything pointed outward. You focused on the connection, the timing, the signs, the meaning of the bond. The mind needed a story. But stories are containers, not truth itself. They give shape to something far larger than they can explain. The twin flame story was a doorway. And once you passed through it, the door no longer mattered. The initiation of self-confrontation. Before this journey, you may have believed you knew yourself. You had preferences, patterns, beliefs about who you were and what you deserved. The twin flame connection shattered those assumptions. It revealed where you abandoned yourself, where you attached instead of loved, where you confused intensity with intimacy. This was not cruelty. It was exposure. And exposure is the first step of initiation. You cannot transform what you cannot see. Why the pain was so precise. The pain of this journey was not random. It targeted specific fault lines inside you. Your fear of being unchosen. Your need for validation. Your habit of overgiving. It pressed exactly where identity was built on attachment. This is why the suffering felt personal. Because it was dismantling a false self. And false selves always resist being undone. The collapse of external authority. Another hidden initiation was the loss of external certainty. You search for answers. In teachings, in readings, in other people's experiences. First guidance helped. Then it stopped working. Nothing fully explained what you were living. This was intentional. The journey withdraws external authority so that inner authority can emerge. Eventually you realize, no one can tell me what this means. No one can define my truth for me. This is not confusion. This is sovereignty. From seeking love to becoming grounded in being. Earlier, love felt like something you reached for. something you hoped to receive, something that validated your existence. The initiation shifted that entirely. Love became a state rather than a transaction. You learned, often painfully, that love cannot be secured through effort. It arises naturally from presence. And presence does not chase. It allows. Why the journey felt spiritual even when it hurt. Many people struggle with this question. If this was spiritual, why did it hurt so much? Because spirituality is not comfort. It is truth without anesthesia. The twin flame journey stripped away illusions. Asterisk about control, asterisk about destiny, asterisk about needing another to be whole. Illusions dissolve through friction, and friction is uncomfortable, but it is also clarifying. The initiation into emotional responsibility. One of the deepest shifts you underwent was this. You stopped blaming others for how you feel. Not because they didn't hurt you, but because you realized your emotions belong to you. No one else can regulate your nervous system. No one else can complete your inner work. This was not isolation. It was empowerment. You became the holder of your own emotional field. The death of fantasy and the birth of reality. Fantasy plays a powerful role early in the twin flame journey. Fantasy sustains hope. Fantasy fuels longing. Fantasy creates meaning. But fantasy cannot survive integration. Eventually it collapses. And many people mistake this collapse for failure. It is not. It is graduation. Reality is quieter than fantasy, but it is far more stable. Initiation into stillness. After the chase, after the longing, after the stories, stillness appears. First it feels empty, but over time you recognize it as spaciousness. This stillness is not absence. It is ground. From here you no longer need constant stimulation to feel alive. You can sit with yourself. And that is a rare initiation. The shift from "why did this happen?" to "who am I becoming?" Earlier the mind asked, "Why did this happen to me?" Now the question evolves. Who am I because of this? You see the refinement. Your boundaries are clearer. Your intuition is sharper. Your tolerance for imbalance is lower. You are not hardened. You are distilled. The true union the journey was pointing toward. This may be the most important truth of all. The twin flame journey was not primarily pointing toward outer union. It was pointing toward inner coherence. The moment when asterisk your thoughts align with your body, asterisk your emotions align with your values, asterisk your choices align with your truth. That is union. And once it happens internally, external relationships can only reflect it. Why not everyone reaches this point? Some people remain attached to the story. They keep waiting. They keep interpreting signs. They keep hoping the other person will change. Not because they are wrong, but because they are not ready to release identity built on longing. Initiation cannot be forced. It happens when the soul is willing. A question that marks completion of the initiation. Ask yourself, not quickly but honestly, if this journey never gave me the outcome I imagined, did it still give me something essential? If you feel a quiet yes, even without words, you understand what this was for. Standing at the edge of the final integration. At this stage, the twin flame journey no longer feels mystical, feels meaningful. Not because it made sense, but because it changed you. In the final chapter, we will bring everything together. The chase, the letting go, the return of energy, the integration, and we will arrive at the final truth beneath it all. But for now, let this settle gently. The twin flame journey did not come to give you another soul. It came to initiate you into your own. There is a point on the twin flame journey where even growth becomes quiet. Not because nothing is happening, but because nothing needs to be chased anymore. This is the phase of final surrender. Not surrender as defeat. Not surrender as resignation, but surrender as trust in life itself. Why the need for certainty was the last attachment. Throughout the journey, many attachments fell away. Attachment to outcomes. Attachment to roles. Attachment to identity through another person. But one attachment often remains hidden until the very end. The need to know. To know. Asterisk how it will end. Asterisk what it all meant. Asterisk whether it was worth it. The mind wants closure. It wants a conclusion it can hold on to. But the deepest surrender happens when you no longer require answers to live fully. The moment you stop asking the universe for proof. Earlier, signs felt important. Synchronicities, repeating numbers, dreams, messages that seemed symbolic. They brought comfort. They brought reassurance. At this stage, those signs lose their urgency, not because they stop appearing, but because you no longer need them to confirm your path. You trust your internal alignment more than external validation. And that is a profound shift. Trust without a guarantee. True surrender does not come with promises. It does not say, everything will turn out the way you want. It says, you will be okay regardless of how it turns out. This is the trust the twin flame journey initiates you into. Trust in your resilience. Trust in your intuition. Trust in your capacity to adapt. You no longer need the future to look a certain way to feel safe. Why this stage feels so quiet? People often expect the end of the journey to feel triumphant. Instead, it feels simple. You wake up. You live your day. You make choices from clarity rather than fear. There is no drama to process, no longing to analyze, just presence. And presence can feel anticlimactic to a mind conditioned on intensity. But presence is where life actually unfolds. Letting life move you. Earlier, you tried to direct life. You tried to manifest. You tried to align timelines. You tried to understand cosmic reasons. Now you let life move you. You respond rather than anticipate. You follow what feels alive rather than what feels destined. This is not passivity. It is responsiveness. And responsiveness is intelligent. The end of spiritual identity. Another subtle surrender occurs here. You stop identifying as the awakened one. The twin flame chaser. The one who went through something special. You simply become a person living with awareness. Spiritual identity dissolves into human presence. And that is maturity. Why love becomes spacious. At this stage, love is no longer concentrated in one direction. It flows outward, into friendships, into work, into creativity, into everyday moments. Love is no longer scarce. It is ambient. And because it is not constrained, it does not need to be defended. Meeting the unknown without fear. The unknown no longer feels threatening, feels open. You stop asking, what will happen next? And start living. What feels right now? This is not ignorance. It is intimacy with the present. A subtle shift in desire. Desire still exists, but it is no longer tied to fixing the past or securing the future. Desire becomes an expression of curiosity. You want to explore. You want to create. You want to experience. Not to fill a void, but because life is available again. Why the journey cannot be explained at this stage. If someone asked you now, what was that twin flame journey about? You might struggle to explain it. Words feel insufficient, because the journey is no longer conceptual. It is embodied. You are the integration. A question that marks true surrender. Ask yourself quietly, if I never fully understand why this happened, can I still be grateful for who I've become? If the answer is yes, you are no longer seeking. You are living. The final paradox. The paradox of the twin flame journey is this. When you no longer need it to mean anything, it finally reveals its meaning, not as a story, but as wisdom. Standing at the threshold of completion. This chapter is not an ending. It is a release. The release of needing the journey to justify itself. The release of needing certainty to feel safe. The release of needing an outcome to validate the path. In the final chapter, we will gently close the circle, not with answers but with integration. For now, let this truth settle softly. The deepest surrender is not letting go of a person. It is letting go of the need to know, and choosing to live anyway. There is no dramatic ending to the twin flame journey. No final sign that flashes across the sky. No perfect conversation that ties everything together. No moment where the universe says, this is it. Instead, the journey ends the same way it truly began. Quietly, internally, without announcement. One day, you simply realize that you are no longer searching. How completion feels different than you imagined. Earlier in the journey, completion looked like reunion. It looked like clarity. It looked like answers. It looked like someone choosing you fully and visibly. But when completion actually arrives, it feels nothing like that. It feels like ground beneath your feet. You wake up and move through your day without checking the past for meaning. You make choices without referencing an old story. You feel emotions without being consumed by them. Nothing is missing. And that is how you know something has ended. The moment you stop measuring your life against the journey. For a long time, everything was filtered through the twin flame lens. Every relationship, every emotion, every decision, you compared, you evaluated, you wondered what it meant in relation to that connection. Completion happens when that lens dissolves. Life no longer needs comparison, stands on its own. You no longer ask, how does this fit into the journey? You simply live. Why the ending is not a loss. First, this can feel unsettling. Without the intensity, without the meaning-making, without the emotional charge. Who are you now? But slowly, gently you realize, you are calmer. You are clearer. You are more embodied. You did not lose depth. You lost distortion. The drama was never the depth. The awareness was. Becoming the love you were reaching for. This is the deepest realization of all. What you were seeking through the twin flame was not another person. It was a state of connection, aliveness, recognition, truth. And at some point you notice, you are living from that state. You relate more honestly. You feel more present. You listen to yourself more deeply. You no longer need someone else to mirror your worth. You already inhabit it. Why the twin flame may still exist, but no longer define you. Completion does not erase memory. You may still think of them. You may still feel tenderness. You may still recognize the bond, but it no longer pulls you out of yourself. It no longer directs your choices. It no longer anchors your identity. The connection becomes part of your history, not the center of your life. And this is not a downgrade. It is integration, the end of spiritual striving. One of the quiet markers of completion is this. You stop trying to be there. You stop chasing awakening. You stop perfecting your healing. You stop waiting for some final state. You live. You make mistakes. You learn. You grow naturally. Spirituality becomes embodied rather than conceptual. You do not perform awareness. You inhabit it. Why peace feels almost ordinary. Peace does not announce itself. It does not excite the nervous system. It does not demand attention. Feels normal. And because of that, many people overlook it. But peace is the clearest sign that the work has integrated. Not numbness. Not detachment. Peace. The final integration. Love without attachment. At the end of the twin flame journey, love remains. But it is no longer pointed. It is no longer seeking resolution. It exists as a capacity. You can love without losing yourself. You can care without controlling. You can connect without abandoning your center. This is not conditional love. It is mature love. Looking back without needing to rewrite the story. You may still reflect on the journey, but you no longer need to justify it. You do not need it to end a certain way to validate what it gave you. You can hold the past without romanticizing it, without resenting it, without clinging to it. That neutrality is wisdom. A question that no longer needs an answer. At the beginning, the question was, will we end up together? At the end, the question dissolves. And in its place is something simpler. How do I want to live? That question does not require certainty. It requires presence. The quiet gift you carry forward. The twin flame journey leaves you with something invaluable. Not a person, not a promise, but a refined relationship with yourself. You know when you are aligned. You know when you are abandoning yourself. You know when something is real and when it is not. This discernment shapes every relationship that follows. Why this is not the end of your life, only the end of a chapter. Completion does not mean stagnation. It means readiness. Readiness to engage with life without projection. Readiness to love without fear. Readiness to choose without waiting for signs. Life continues. But now you are inside it. If you are listening to this and feel something settle inside you, if the words did not excite you but grounded you, if you do not feel finished but feel present, then the journey has done its work. You do not need to hold on to it anymore. The twin flame journey does not complete when someone returns. It completes when you stop leaving yourself. When you no longer chase love, because you are living from it. When you no longer need certainty, because you trust your capacity to meet life. When the story fades, and what remains is you, here, whole. If this series resonated with you, take a moment to sit with what landed, not to analyze it but to feel it. You are welcome to share where you are on your journey in the comments, not to compare but to witness. And if you feel called to explore more content on integration, emotional maturity, and grounded spirituality, subscribe and stay. Not because you are searching, but because you are ready to live.